What is the most perfect castle in the world? Well, one that could certainly take the cake is Mont St Michel, a fortress island situated on the Norman coast in France, with its origins dating back to the 8th century, and it was pretty much unconquerable, as the English found out during the 100 Years' War. The story goes in 706 AD, the Archangel St Michael appeared to the local bishop in numerous dreams, telling him to build a magnificent church atop this granite outcrop, which he apparently ignored as he didn't know if it was from the devil or an angel, and he only decided to build it once the angel touched his skull, apparently burning a hole in it. In 933, the Normans soon annexed the mount, where 30 years later they installed Benedictine monks on it, where in 1023 they started construction on a Roman-esque abbey church, and it soon became the place to be for pilgrims of the world. Now, what's absolutely fascinating about Mont St Michel and what made it almost unconquerable is that before this tourist bridge was installed, it was only accessible twice per day once the tides were low, and then to get to it then, you had to traverse over this causeway which was over quicksand. Along with the tides and the obscene natural defences that the abbey is built on, which followed the medieval guidelines that if you build up high, you're getting some fi, it was soon reinforced in the late 14th, early 15th century with gigantic walls, towers and other humongous defences. So because of the tides, if you wanted to assault the fortress, you'd only have a few hours a day to do it, and then you'd have to bring up all your heavy siege equipment through quicksand, which would be an absolute slog. You'd get bogged down, be an easy target for crossbows, probably take too long, and then get washed away. So your best bet would be to starve this thing out, which the English did try a few times during the 100 Years' War. However, their sea blockades were always broken, and assaults from the garrison of Mont St Michel out to attack the English encampments forced them to lift the sieges. And in their second lifted siege of 1433, the English left behind 2 bombards which are still on display today inside the fortress, with Mont St Michel being the only place within Normandy not to fall to English occupation when they held it between 1419 and 1450, even though they did try and bribe the garrison a few times to turn the castle over towards them, and it did cause them a few headaches during the war. Over time, the abbey did see a decline in pilgrimage as the Reformation swept across Europe, with it being turned into a prison during the French Revolution, which then closed in 1863. The Germans occupied it during World War II, using it as a lookout point across the Channel, as well as it being a major tourist destination for their vacationers, with French merchants having to change their shop signs from French to German to satisfy their new overlords. When the Allies liberated Normandy, they also liberated Mont St Michel, with it being turned back over to the tourist of the everyday world, and even though it only has a population of 30, it has over 3 million annual visitors. And the one downside it does have going for it though, is it doesn't have a magnificent ditch around it, and as everyone knows, if you make ditches, you get bitches. But I guess the sea is Earth's greatest natural ditch.